After approximately 2 years since the release of its first announcement trailer, we finally have news about Spider-Man 2. However, this time, the developers decided to surprise fans by making available 10 minutes of pure gameplay, along with a new trailer featuring the character Kraven. During the PlayStation Showcase in May 2023, a trailer was released revealing the gameplay of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. This is a single-player action-adventure game played from a third-person perspective, with a release scheduled for October of this year. The game is being developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Based on the Spider-Man character from Marvel Comics, the game features a narrative that draws inspiration from the rich mythology of long-standing comics as well as various adaptations in other media. This is the third game in the Marvel Spider-Man series and serves as a sequel to Marvel Spider-Man 2018 and Marvel Spider-Man MilesMorales 2020, bringing Peter Parker and Miles Morales together to face Kraven the Hunter and the Lizard while encountering the Venom symbiote. This time, we came up with 38 discoveries in the gameplay trailer of Marvel Spider-Man 2. Excited? So let's go! Number 1. Kraven's appearance. In this cinematic trailer focused on Kraven, we can finally see the amazing look of this insane Spider-Man villain. And as incredible as it may seem, he looks exactly like he does in the comics, which is sensational. Since the first trailer, the gaming community was eager to see what he would look like in the game, and now Sony has gifted us with 10 minutes of gameplay along with the brand new Kraven the Hunter trailer. We were impressed by Kraven's animalistic look. In addition, we can see both in the introduction trailer and in the gameplay trailer that Kraven's group is huge. He has a real army at his fingertips, and they are exactly as we saw in the first trailer. There was no change in design. In addition, Kraven and his group have various futuristic technologies such as ships, weapons and even giant robot wolves that we will discuss later in this video. Number 2. Kraven's Last Hunt. In Kraven's introduction trailer, we see that he is in search of the perfect hunt in which he can give himself body and soul. However, it seems difficult for him to find something like that. The interesting thing is that this is the same story as the comic book Kraven's Last Hunt, in which Kraven is hired to hunt and kill Spider-Man. This story is considered one of Spider-Man's best, so it's great to know that they are adapting it for the game. But let's continue with the analysis. Number 3. The game takes place in New York City and region. Kraven complains that he hasn't had a real hunt for a long time, but one of his henchmen shows him a tablet with the news. Now they have a new hunting ground, which is New York City and its region. On the tablet, in addition to seeing the city, we can spot several characters that we encountered in the last 2 games such as Black Cat, Wraith, Tombstone, Taskmaster, Prowler and a character that cannot be clearly identified but is probably Choker. And of course we can't forget about Spider-Man. The fact that all these characters have appeared means that Kraven is going to hunt all of them, or he is only after the spiders. We will find out more throughout the video. Number 4. Brooklyn and Queens, will they be playable? An interesting detail on the tablet is that some of the characters appear not only in Manhattan, where the last 2 games take place, but also in Brooklyn and Queens. So it seems that we will have all these areas referring to Queens and Brooklyn playable. This is something we really needed, since they couldn't just recycle the same map without any novelty in the second game. Number 5. Kraven is after Dr. Connors. Another interesting surprise that we see both on the tablet and at the beginning of the gameplay trailer is that Kraven is after Dr. Connors, also known as the villain Lizard. We see an image of Dr. Connors on the tablet screen, indicating that he is one of Kraven's targets. This raises some questions about what Lizard's role in the story will be and how he fits into the game's plot. Will he be an ally of Spider-Man, or will he be involved in Kraven's plans? We'll have to wait to find out. Number 6. Has it been 6 months? In the new trailer, we can observe that 6 months have passed since Kraven's supposed arrival in New York. However, it is important to remember that this is only an assumption, as the trailer is skillfully edited to leave us with the impression of one thing when in fact it may be another. These 6 months probably represent a different period within the game, considering subsequent scenes that suggest Kraven has already encountered Spider-Man before. But don't worry, we'll comment more on this soon. Number 7, Dr. Connor's house. At this point, we witness a team of Kravens going towards Dr. Connor's house with the intention of capturing him. However, who comes out of the residence is none other than Peter, ready to face them. But what was he doing there? Don't worry, we'll address this issue soon. And in case you're wondering how we know that's Connor's house, this information is available on PlayStation's official blog. Number 8, Peter and MJ living together in Queens. Before we move on, a very interesting curiosity, based on the game's comics, is that Peter and MJ are living together in Queens, probably near Connor's residence. Number 9, Peter and the symbiote. Finally, we see Peter using the symbiote, and the look is truly fascinating. He is covered in plates that protect various parts of his body, providing him with greater security. In the joints between these plates, we can see that the symbiote moves in a peculiar yet incredible way. Although it was somewhat predictable that at some point in the game Peter would use the symbiote, it was still a huge surprise to see him with this impressive look. Number 10, Gameplay with the symbiote. Now let's discuss more details about the highly anticipated symbiote gameplay that is making everyone anxious, including us. The first thing we can notice is the presence of several new attacks. It seems that they will be executed in the same way as Miles' electric powers, where we press and hold L1 and then square, circle, triangle or X, as we can see in the corner of the screen. It is evident that these attacks are special and cannot be used indiscriminately. Overall, they are amazing and offer a great variety during combat. Number 11, Change in Peter's HUD. In combat, we also notice a significant change in the game's HUD compared to the previous 2 games. Now we have space for 8 abilities, 4 of which are related to the symbiote's special abilities while the other 4 are intended for equipment that we already knew from previous games. This change is probably intended to balance gameplay. In addition, it is important to mention that the shape of the health bar, the amount of webs in the map have also undergone changes, although not as drastic. And of course we couldn't fail to mention this fundamental aspect. Number 12, New Enemies. A controversial topic in previous Spider-Man games was the reuse of enemies. However, for this new game, there is an expectation for new and exciting adversaries to be introduced. Kraven's group features futuristic technologies including robot dogs and even a robotic bird ready to make our journey more challenging. In addition, there are likely other enemies that have not yet been revealed. Number 13, Peter's irritation. During one of the fights, Peter's extreme irritation is noticeable. This may be a result of the symbiote's influence, which, as the stories show us, affects the hero's emotions, making him more aggressive. However, it is also possible that something was done by Kraven to provoke this intense reaction. Perhaps it is a combination of both factors and the symbiote only amplifies this anger. Who knows if the antagonist hasn't caused some irreparable damage to someone dear to Peter. Number 14, Character Switching. Peter talks to Miles and the opportunity to switch between characters arises. Although it is not exactly an option, since the game encourages us to make the change, this mechanic promises to be one of the most exciting in the game. Being able to control both Peter and Miles during gameplay. Number 15, NPCs inside buildings. During gameplay with Miles, we can see that there are now people inside building windows. Although it may seem simple, it is a significant evolution since in previous games it was fascinating to be able to glimpse inside apartments through windows. Now there are NPCs inhabiting these spaces. Another notable detail is the improved lighting in the game, which is exceptionally beautiful compared to previous titles. It seems that ray tracing has been used impressively. The game is visually stunning. Number 16, Miles' concern for Peter. During the character switch, Miles and Peter have a brief conversation and Miles notices that Peter is extremely irritated. He appears to be worried about his friend because he knows Peter well enough to know that he is not someone who gets stressed out like this, and as we progress through gameplay we can see this. Number 17, more vegetation in the city. The city is full of vegetation compared to previous games. Trees are present in every corner, including on top of buildings. This addition of vegetation provides a new look to the game map, making it revitalized and similar to the approach adopted in Spider-Man, MilesMorales, which covered the entire map with snow. This is a very welcome change. Number 18, Glider. An exciting surprise from this gameplay is the ability to glide with the help of webs under the character's arms. This is a direct reference to the Spider-Man comics and movies in which he uses the glider. This ability is present in both Miles and Peter's suits. Number 19, Air Current. After gliding, Miles enters a wind tunnel that allows him to move faster through the city. This feature makes sense considering that there are air currents between buildings. However, this addition may be unnecessary since the game already offers several forms of locomotion such as Miles' boost when he throws himself using 2 irons moments before this. Either way, Miles heads towards the possible meeting of Lizard and Kraven's tactical group. Number 20, Gank, the chair nerd. Peter is in contact with Gank, his friend who assists him during his journey. We can call him a chair nerd, someone who is an expert in technology and provides support to Peter during the game. Number 21, change in Miles' HUD. Like Peter's HUD heads-up display, Miles also has differences, being more colorful with shades of purple, in contrast to Peter's which is darker. This difference is probably related to the symbiote, so when Peter is not using the symbiote it is possible that the HUD will be red or some other color during the game. Number 22, new mechanics. During gameplay with Miles, we can notice several other expansions and additions of mechanics just like with Peter. The introduction of stealth mechanics stands out especially, such as the use of webs created by Miles to move around the scenario. It is worth mentioning that this does not prevent Peter from also using these abilities. In addition, Miles makes use of the previously mentioned devices, confirming that we can only use 4 devices simultaneously. Number 23, Venom Power. A notable curiosity is that Miles' Venom powers have a visual difference compared to the previous game where the rays are blue instead of yellow. This was previously demonstrated in the game's reveal trailer showing Miles alternating between blue and yellow rays. Unfortunately, it is not possible to know what the difference between the two is, but he also has new abilities related to these powers which basically occupy the same space as Peter's symbiote abilities. Number 24, separate and shared skill tree. According to information from the PlayStation blog, each Spider-Man will have their own skill tree, which was expected. In addition, it was mentioned that there will be a shared skill tree that will be used by both at the same time. We can therefore expect a wide variety of skills between the two characters. Number 25, Miles talking to Robot Bird. Next, we see Miles talking to one of those robot birds, which he refers to as Gank. This indicates that Gank has hacked these robots or something like that while they explore the fish store. Number 26, change in lizard size. While in a fish store, Peter and Miles find lizard skin indicating that he is going through a skin change and growing in size. And when we say growing we mean something gigantic, almost like a dinosaur. It's a very different version of lizard than we're used to seeing. Number 27, Peter and the symbiote suit. After this event, Peter arrives at the location and Miles asks about the new suit, indicating that Peter has just joined with the symbiote and Miles didn't know about it yet. The way they are emphasizing this issue is evident as Peter appears shrouded in shadows, suggesting that he is being taken over by Venom and losing control. The pursuit begins from there and we'll have to wait to find out how Peter joined with the symbiote. Number 28, easier to traverse the map. It is noticeable that several bridges are being built along with boats and cranes with the clear objective of facilitating crossing between the two parts of the map. In the first game it was not possible to access this area because there were no structures to attach webs to. Number 29, important dialogue. One of the most important moments of this entire gameplay is when Peter says that he can't lose Connors because Harry Osborn is dying and he's the only one who can help. This is very interesting because if you don't remember, Harry appeared in a tank in the post-credits scenes of the first two Spider-Man games in 2018 and in Miles Morales in 2020. In these scenes it is evident that he has a serious illness and his father Norman Osborn somehow got a symbiote and put it on Harry in an attempt to cure him. In addition, in the post-credits scene of Miles Morales we have the appearance of Connors himself, the Lizard. For those who don't know Lizard's origin, after losing one of his arms, Connors tries everything to get it back and discovers that lizards have regenerative characteristics. He creates a vaccine based on these lizards and applies it to himself, but as expected something goes wrong and he turns into a monster. It is important to remember that he is not necessarily a bad person, he just loses control when transformed into lizard. As for his story in the game, it may not follow exactly this basis since there are always adaptations, but it is likely to have some connection. Returning to Peter's dialogue during gameplay, we know that the symbiote is now with him, which brings an additional concern regarding Harry, and that's why he's so bad. And since Connors was the doctor responsible for treating Harry inside the tank, Peter is protecting him from Kraven because he needs him. Number 30, Pursuit Sequence. We cannot fail to mention this entire pursuit sequence, which is very well done with several unique animations and some gameplay changes between Peter and Miles, bringing a very interesting dynamism to the scene. In addition, the graphics in this part, especially with water, are amazing, probably thanks to the ray tracing present in the game. Number 31, Kraven, main villain of the plot. At this point, Peter reveals that he warned that this would happen if crime got close to Connors, indicating that they have already had conversations and there were probably previous conflicts. Everything indicates that Kraven will be one of the most important villains for the game's plot. Number 32, Peter Impatient. Another aspect that stands out during this action sequence is Peter's impatience, something very different from the Peter we saw in the previous two games. It seems that he is so full of hatred that he is not thinking straight, just investing everything against Kraven, which ends up hindering him. He doesn't listen to Miles' advice, and this results in both falling into the water, which will certainly bring problems throughout the game. Number 33, Peter's change with the symbiote. During a combined attack, Peter and Miles epically take down Kraven's ship. However, while the ship is falling towards a person, Peter saves her but releases her in a rough and different way than he used to. This is a clear consequence of the symbiote in his body. At this moment there is a look of strangeness coming from the saved person, since this is not the Peter that Miles knows. Will we have Venom's transformation? Number 34, will we have Venom's transformation? Meanwhile, Lizard manages to escape to the sewers, but the tracker was saved by Miles. Peter decides to go after him alone despite Miles' concerns, who reminds him that Lizard has huge teeth. However, there is something curious here because Peter responds saying that he also has big teeth, suggesting that maybe we will see Venom's monstrous form similar to Venom from Spider-Man 3 movie, with the same physique as Spider-Man but with a monstrous face. Or maybe it will be Venom's classic form, big and similar to Venom movie. We'll have to find out throughout the game. Number 35, change in Peter's personality. Someone asks Miles if Peter has always been like this, and he replies that he hasn't. This indicates that this recent change in Peter's personality is related to his recent use of the symbiote. This suggests once again that the game will have a darker plot, with Peter becoming increasingly insane, possibly even killing someone or putting them in life or death situations. Maybe it will be Kraven himself, since we know he is not an easy villain to get rid of. This will certainly cause conflict between Peter and Miles. After all, this is not what Peter taught Miles during his own game. Probably Miles will have to remove Venom from Peter and bring him back to reality. If this story is well developed, the game has the potential to be amazing. Number 36, improved combat. In the gameplay trailer we can see that the combat system has been improved compared to previous games. Spider-Man now has more fluid and acrobatic movements as well as new attacks and abilities. We can observe that combo sequences are more dynamic and enemies react more realistically to Spider-Man's attacks. This will certainly make battles more exciting and challenging for players. Number 37. Cooperation between Spider-Man and Miles Morales. One of the big news from the trailer is the cooperation between Spider-Man and Miles Morales. We see the two characters fighting together against enemies, combining their attacks and special abilities. This opens up a range of strategic possibilities and promises to add even more variety to gameplay. In addition, it is interesting to note that Miles Morales now has a new suit with red and black details that matches more with Spider-Man's aesthetic. Number 38. Advancement in plot. The gameplay trailer reveals a little more about the game's plot. It seems that Kraven is involved in a larger conspiracy and Spider-Man and Miles Morales will need to uncover the truth behind the events happening in the city. The presence of Dr. Connors and other villains suggests that there is more than just a hunt at stake, and the heroes will have to face multiple and complex threats. These were some of the main highlights we could observe in the gameplay trailer of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. The impressive visual of Kraven, the expanded map to include Brooklyn and Queens, the cooperation between Spider-Man and Miles Morales, the enhanced combat, and the presence of new enemies promise to provide an exciting and action-packed experience for players. We can't wait to discover more details about the game and explore what Insomniac Games has prepared for us. Fans are eagerly awaiting the game's release and have high expectations for it. They have expressed enthusiasm for the inclusion of Kraven the Hunter as an underestimated villain and are excited to see Venom. Fans have praised Insomniac Games for not disappointing them and state that the wait for the game has been worth it. Unfortunately, we don't have detailed information about the graphics and gameplay of the game yet, but we can expect Insomniac Games to continue improving and expanding the gameplay and graphics features from their previous Spider-Man games. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is scheduled to be released in late 2023 for the PlayStation 5. Insomniac Games and Sony Interactive Entertainment have confirmed that the game will be released in the autumn of 2023. However, a specific release date has not yet been announced. We genuinely would like to know what you thought of the Marvel Spider-Man 2 gameplay reveal trailer. If you haven't watched it yet, we recommend that you check the link in the description of this video or in the on-screen options that appear at the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and enable notifications so you don't miss updates on future videos. We appreciate your ongoing support and look forward to bringing you more exciting information about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 soon.